As promised, here is your video on finding numbers given the percent. Something that a lot of people have been struggling with, so let's go ahead and take a look at this. For our first problem, we have 30% of what number is 933. Remember, the biggest thing that you can do for yourself is use those words you know to your advantage. The words I'm talking about are of, what number, and is. So we're going to take those words and translate them into an equation. It's up to you whether you want to use decimals or fractions, and you have to kind of decide which one works best for you. On number one, I'm thinking that a fraction will work best. So I'm going to go ahead and use 30% as a fraction, which we all know is 3/10 of what number means of means multiply, what number means variable, is means equals 933. Okay, to solve this, because we've seen problems like this before, we need to multiply this number by its reciprocal, which will be 10/3 on both sides. Remember to put 933 over 1, and try and cross reduce if you can, which in this case we definitely can, because 933 is divisible by 3. How do I know that? Remember, add up the digits in the number, and if that number is divisible by 3, the number itself is divisible by 3. 9 plus 3 plus 3 is 15, and 15 is definitely divisible by 3. So we're going to cross this out, we're going to cross this out. 3 goes into 3 one time, 3 goes into 933, 311 times. That made my problem a whole heck of a lot easier. Now I just have top times top and bottom times bottom. 311 times 10, that's going to be 3,110 equals x. So there's that one. Let's take a look at this other one. 29 is 12% of what number? Now 12% doesn't work quite as well as the 30% that we had in the last problem. So I'm going to go ahead and use decimals. I'm going to set it up the same way. This one's written backwards. Doesn't matter, the words are still the important part. So I'm going to read it like a sentence and translate it. 29 is means equals 12%. Remember, we're using 12% as a decimal this time. So 0.12. Of means multiply, and what number means x. I solve it just like I do any other equation. I have decimals this time, no big deal. I divide by 0.12 on both sides. And when I do that, I'm going to go ahead and set up long division over here. I got 0.12 or 12 hundredths goes into 29. Remember, clearing decimals when you're dividing is a little bit different than clearing decimals with multiplication. We're not going to be moving the decimal back in at the end. We're just clearing it out once, twice on the outside, which means that we need to clear it once, twice on the inside. Once, twice on the inside. So now my decimal is right there, and I better fill in 2 zeros in those empty spots. Okay, now I got 12 goes into 2,900. 12 goes into 29 two times. That's going to be 24. I subtract. I get 5. Bring down the 0. 12 goes into 50 4 times. That's going to be 48. I subtract again. It's 2, and I bring down this 0. 12 goes into 20 once. That's going to be 8 after I subtract. I add another 0 after the decimal, and I bring this one down. 12 goes into 80 6 times. And here's where I got to add that decimal up top, right above its place right there. Goes into it 6 times. It's going to be 80 minus 72. That's going to be 8. I would add another 0, and I'd bring it down. It's going to go over here. And it looks like at this point, it goes in again 6 times. I'm going to get a repeating decimal. So at this point, once I've seen that this pattern is developing, I can stop here and say that x is going to equal 241 and 6/10 repeating. That'll be my answer there. Alright, I hope you guys have found this video helpful. Remember, it just takes practice. That's how you get better at these types of things. Oops.